We hear all the time, the youth are the engine of the Nigerian economy. But if we are the engine, why does it feel like we are never in the driver's seat when the rules of the game are being written? For millions of young Nigerians, taxation feels like a civic duty, more like a penalty for surviving in a tough economy. From providing your own electricity or securing your own neighborhoods, the ultimate question on the street is, what exactly are we paying tax for? Welcome to Tax Cage. I'm your host, Hello Rain. Today we are tackling the massive trust deficit between the young citizens and the fiscal planners. Joining us to unpack the social contract, the economic planning and youth inclusion is Adesoye Sadiq Aboyami. Welcome to Tax Cage.
Yes, thank you, Helen. Thank you for having me.
All right, so this is Tax Cage. We are having this interesting conversation about youth inclusion in the fiscal landscape of Nigeria. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll dive straight into the conversation. This is Tax Gauge, and we are here again. We have with us here in the studio, Aboyami. Thank you for joining us once again. And we are going to be having a conversation about youth inclusion in the fiscal economy of Nigeria. All right, so speaking of having a seat at the table, let me just read out some statistics. Now, first of all, in Nigeria, there is a general perspective most young people have, and that is the fact that they're not part of the conversation, especially when it comes to politics, right? When we look at the political numbers, we see that just a minimum number of 8.92% of the members of the State House of Assembly, sorry, not State House, House of Reps, Federal House of Reps, is made up of young people. And when I mean young people, I mean ages of 20 to 40. Just about 8.9%, 92%. And then when we come to the Senate House, less than 3% of those people who are members of the Senate House are young people. Then if we talk about governors in Nigeria, we have 0% in that age bracket. This makes up, or these statistics makes young Nigerians to believe that they're not really part of the conversation. But now dovetailing into when it comes to fiscal policies and policy generation in Nigeria, what is the actual reality? Are young people part of it, or is it just a facade? Because right now we really don't have the numbers. But for you, Mr. Kwayami, who is a former member of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee and Fiscal Development in Nigeria, what would you have to say about this? Is this actually the reflection, or is it a facade?
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will first start. Let me answer this question from the point of structures and evidence.
Okay.
So the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform was established with a deliberate, with explicit mandate,
okay,
to ensure that national fiscal policy ensure to reflect the socioeconomic reality of young Nigeria. So what I distinguish this committee effort from the previous one is just that it's not just the presence of the young or the presence of the youth in the committee only, but it's the primary roles that the youth play, right, within the committee. So, and then if you look at this, the entire process, over 50 students were screened across public institutions in Nigeria.
50?
Over 50. Yes. And then these 50 students were now grouped. We are batched into series of batches, batch A, batch B, you know. So when I mean screen, there are criteria for you to qualify to be part of the Presidential Fiscal Policy Committee. And then and then this group of batch were now placed into subcommittee. So we have about 6 subcommittees within the Presidential Fiscal Policy Committee. So we placed into subcommittee based on competency and area of interest. not just ceremonial functions.
Okay.
So, and joining this subcommittee, you are now performing a specific role, which is secretariat function.
Okay.
So these secretarial functions now include conducting desk review, doing in-depth research, joining stakeholder dialogue. So all of these functions are deliberately designed to ensure that increase capacity of the students within the committee, and also give them an overview to understand how this policy is being shaped, and taking, when you are doing stakeholder dialogue, you're having some input from different set of group, from minority to majority, from religious leader groups to tech up, all of these people. And then you also carry out desk review, like in-depth research. Then you understand the part where you know what is happening or what's obtainable in other countries compared to Nigeria, and then that form and shape the policy design. So to us, to me personally, the inclusion of youth in the Presidential Reform Policy Committee, it's not a tokenism or an afterthought, but it's a deliberate intention to ensure that youth are also equipped and understand how the policy is being shaped and designed overall. Yeah.
Okay, so you started by saying that you have that they screened over 50 students.
Yes.
So how many of those 50 students were later absorbed?
So what I mean, it's screened. That means those are the list shortlisted. Like that's
the shortlisted. Those are the shortlisted people.
Names. Yeah. So because the process is you apply, and then there are some criteria that, okay, fine, if you meet up all of these thresholds, then you'll be invited to the committee with your letter, and then all of these things, and then you also state in there's a form for us to actually express the batch at which you're joining. Is it batch A or batch B? Like that, based on your convenience. And then when you now come in on board, then you will now place you to the appropriate deemed fit subcommittee that actually enhance your capacity and then also contribute meaningfully. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're saying category right here on Tax Cage that over about 50 Nigerian young students, people who were still schooling, over 50.
Yes, it should be over.
Were part of the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform and Fiscal Policy.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, you said that they were these students were part of the subcommittee, but in the main committee, did we have young Nigerians part of the main committee? I'm not just speaking of the subcommittee now. Did we have young Nigerians part of the main committee?
So there's actually no main committee or subcommittee. What I mean is, the entire committee is subdivided into six, including the steering committee, the oversee committee. So subdivided into 6, and then 5 working one, then the steering committee. So these subcommittee are now assigned to their own reference at the TOR, right? The terms of reference to work on. So so each terms of reference is speaking to the mandate pillar. We have three pillar mandates, right? That move from revenue mobilizations to sustainable debt management, and then what's it called? Government spending. Those are the 3 pillar mandates, right? And then so each pillar mandate has, they have to break it down to their own TOR, and then, okay, fine, this subcommittee should look into this. How can we achieve this? And then form part of what you have today as a Nigerian Tax Act of 2025.
Wow, so this is really interesting. So you're categorically saying right now that these 15 young Nigerians were part and parcel of the formation and compilation of the Nigerian Tax Act 2025.
Yes.
So that means if they saw things that didn't favor them, they could speak up.
Of course.
They could air their views. They could make contributions.
Of course.
And I guess you, in short, not they, you were part of that committee.
Yes.
And you made contributions to what we know today as the Nigerian Tax Act, the Nigerian Tax Act Administration Act 2025.
Yes, I can boldly say that, because we've done a series of research, and then we're able to compare what is practicable, what's obtainable in in other countries before we come up to the conclusion, okay, this one's going. And then there are a lot of deliberations and back and forth, right? And all of this is, we are also exposed to it and document every minute of every meeting. So we're there.
Okay, so let's go a little practical. And I've seen that you were a major part, of the committee. I don't know if you are permitted to say this, but during your sessions, during your dealings, when this whole new tax law was put together, what major scenario would you remember And would you say that the young people who were part of that committee were able to speak up and make a major change in?
So let me find a way of putting this properly.
Okay.
So, I've mentioned that the entire committee was subdivided into subcommittees.
Subcommittees, yeah.
So each subcommittee have their own design day and they have their own sub-chairman.
Okay.
And then they meet, I think they meet weekly, right?
Okay.
So once in a week, So in their own subcommittee, you can make your input through your chairman or through your head of secretariat.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to meet the overall chairman, which is Mr. Taiwo Idele, the Honorable Minister of now, that say, this is my position. No. I don't think you need to. Yeah. So just rack it through your chairman, then your chairman can put all of these positions together and then submit as a subcommittee position on these excellence issues, right?
So was there any scenario where you had a strong opinion about something and you put it up to your chairman, and currently it's in the new tax law?
Yes, I won't say it's my opinion, but more of like I did some of research around what we have today, the expansion of input VAT to services and assets.
Okay.
I think So I'll go and do this and work on this, and then I started putting on papers and then working on. I say, oh, this is practicable in this country. Other countries are actually doing this and this, and then I make a position and say this. I think it's actually practicable. We can also do that because I won't say it's my own initiation, but it's more like okay, do this and then and then I find out that it's interesting and it's also practicable. It's something that we can do within our context. And then the second part will be on the minimum tax.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I think coming from chairman too, they also have the proposition. Okay, go and do a research too on the minimum tax, and then they're looking for you of abolition or scrapping minimum tax. So minimum tax is more of like if your company or organization operate at loss, right? You don't have to pay tax.
Okay.
However, the old laws say that you have to pay minimum tax, which is 1% of your turnover or 0.5% of your total asset or thereabout.
Okay.
So that is there a point? Companies operating at loss, you are still telling them to pay some percentage. Where are they paying it from? Exactly. You are killing the business. So we don't want to argue from emotional point of view or logical point of view. Rather, we should be coming with evidence-driven, right? Yeah. So that's why I said, okay, come up with a research. Let's look into this, and then I think I put that up, and then it's something that I'm so proud of. Like we have it in the law today that there's no more minimum tax.
Yeah. So this is Tax Gauge. We're having a very beautiful conversation with Okoyemi here, and he just told us that he was one of those who did the research to ensure that companies who don't meet the threshold for taxation don't pay any tax. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive more into the conversation to understand why there's a trust deficit. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tax Gauge. I'm your host, Halil Rain, and we have with us here in the studio, Okoyemi, and we are discussing youth inclusion in fiscal policy development in Nigeria. So before we went on the break, you plainly told us that you were a major part of the formulation of the Nigeria Tax Act 2025, which is a beautiful thing to know. But in as much as you're letting us understand right now that youths were a major part of the creation of these laws, over 50 students, like you said, which is beautiful. But we'd like to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Talk about the elephant in the room. Tax TV carried out a research, right? And we realized these few points. Number one, about 69.79 people believe that the reforms are here to stifle businesses. That's number one.
Are here to what?
Stifle businesses.
Okay.
Stifle young businesses, startups, and the rest of them.
Okay.
69.79, right? And then we'll move on again to see that about 76.64% don't understand the tax laws.
Okay.
That's what we found out. And then 100% of them expect more from the government for the tax they're currently collecting. They expect more, right? And what these numbers show us is that most of these young Nigerians, because it was a targeted targeted survey to young Nigerians between the ages of 18 to 30. That was the age bracket we focused on. And what this number shows is that most of them don't trust the government. If you even look at we have a segment called Street Tax, where we ask young Nigerians or go on the street and ask Nigerians their perception about taxation. And on one of the episodes, we see where young Nigerians constantly say that the reason they don't pay taxes is because they don't trust what the government is doing with it. Or the reason why they are not quick to pay is because they don't trust what the government is doing with it. So you, as someone who has been in the middle of the conversation, what do you have to say about this trust deficit?
Okay.
Well, first of all, do you agree it exists?
Okay. Yeah. So you see, Ali, let me start by putting a full stop somewhere.
Okay.
Right. As much as we believe government should have their own responsibility.
Yes.
Do you also believe that citizen, taxpayer also have their own civic responsibility too?
Sure.
So, and then now, as I'm asking that question, things in your mind is I need to pay my tax and the government need to do the road, right? Yeah. So let me now add more value to that now. So I'll ask the questions, not just to put it out there, but I'll ask it in person. Like, so just take a survey. Do you have a copy of Nigerian Constitution at all?
In my house?
In your house?
No, not in my house.
Exactly. So it's unwritten rules, right?
Okay.
But every young Nigerian is supposed to have a copy.
Okay.
That is the first step to even understand how your government operates. Okay. What is the governing laws, guiding both you and your government. And then that is how you understand the contract you sign up for. Because it's a social contract.
Yeah.
Right? Then so you're able to understand your civic rights and your responsibility. And what is also the what's it called? The return from the government, when you're actually, So that is the first thing I want to, and then you say you don't have it. So that means an average number, like a large number of youths of today will not have that copy.
Exactly.
Right? At home. So I think
But do you have?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have.
Your own personal copy?
Yeah, I have a personal copy.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's funny enough is that it's free. You can even download it online.
No, of course, I know that. So, of course, it's free online.
So maybe because I like reading hard copy, so I have my own personal copy.
Okay.
So one thing is truly there's trust deficit, right? And then there's a gap of communication.
Okay.
And then there's this part that Nigeria mix up difference between privilege and right. Yeah, and then so if you look at it properly, there are things that you have a right to claim X, Y, and Z. There are things that you are privileged to, to see this and that. So like joining presidential committee, it's a deliberate intention from the top.
Okay, from the top.
To say, we want to include the youth. So is that a right or privilege?
That's a privilege.
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you get the logic now?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
So, but it's our right to, to have this conversation. Yeah. So it's our own right to also enjoy some certain public goods, isn't it? Yeah. So, but there's this paradox or this common thought in development space that we always say, is it chicken before the egg or egg before the chicken? Yeah. So, which one would you prefer? Do you want to first have the chicken or the egg before the chicken? And that is the question of around: is it development first before revenue, or revenue before development?
Okay.
So you don't want to pay. And you're also telling government that they don't do so X, Y, and Z. How do they want to do that? Right?
All right. But the first question I actually wanted to ask is, do you think this trust deficit exists? And I think you actually answered it. Yes, it does. And we can't hide or shy away from that reality.
Yeah, of course.
That it does exist. And if you ask me, it's quite on a high number compared to what it should be. Because, I mean, there's no country you'd go to now that you ask their citizens, do you expect more? Of course, they'll say they will expect more.
Yeah.
There's no country you go to, they expect more from government. But we just feel like it's quite on the high side in Nigeria. Now we've established that the trust deficit exists, right? The next question is, why?
Okay. So let me paint a scenario too, just like you have mentioned in your introduction.
Mm.
An average young 24 years old woman in Maraba will tell you that why would I need to pay tax if I'm the one, paying electricity myself, securing my neighborhood, all of those things. So then
Paying dues to vigilante.
why am I paying tax again?
Okay.
These are something that government is supposed to, to do for us, and then I'm doing it for myself, So that is the idea of what we call self-funded paradox. And then, so that is the idea where, people believe, there's a perception, people believe you are doing X, Y, and Z, you're actually carrying out almost all government functions. Almost all.
Almost all.
Almost all.
Of course,
That's the self-perceived, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then, so you ask why. So, and scholars argued in literature again that maybe, but maybe not true, but logically it's looking like it, that Nigerian dependence over reliance on oil revenue in the past, actually make it actually make it such a way that now when we are diversifying to non-oil revenue, it's becoming so hard that people feel like, you have the oil, we have the mineral, why are we not taking the money from there? Why are we not taxing more people? So that it becomes so hard to diversify because over time we have been depending so much on the oil revenue. And that's why the campaign of let's diversify the income, it's becoming so rampant. Then the big conversation in the house, and that is the most common, nobody can actually argue that, is the idea of the fiscal accountability and the corruption.
Actually.
Yeah, so it unarguably, we have this series of cases where somebody says snake swallow money. What's it called?
Monkey.
Yeah. So, and these are taxpayer money.
Exactly.
So
that's the problem.
It's saddening the art, to have such a thing on headlines, and then you see somebody somewhere there just be, embezzling, siphoning public fund. That's
exactly, public fund. And it's not just, like what you pointed out, right? The public fund is not just gotten from taxpayers' money. I mean, money paid during tax. It's gotten from money gotten from the resources in our land. So that makes it more difficult. And people are living in those places where these resources are gotten from. So that's part of the pain. It's not as if it was just taxpayer money. I mean, you know how many Nigerians give people money and forget that they give you money.
Yeah. So, but it's sad to see what is meant for the entire public is actually taken by one person and then for his own personal consumption. Of few people. So it's sad, and that's one thing again. And then another root cause might be the issue of what we call multiple taxation. Yeah, you see, like if you're running a business, you pay this one to government A, another government knock at the door, hey, you're supposed to pay social revenue, you pay again. And Nigerians don't actually know the difference between levies and tax.
That's a major problem.
So when you pay this person, everything in your mind is they're taxing me.
Is tax.
Yeah, so all of those multiple taxes, it's another bottom line that it's overwhelming, right? To be paying and be paying, and someone just broke into tears, say, how much am I even making? Yeah. So the last point to be more of poor communication and misinformation. In fact, that is the biggest threat now.
Yeah.
Is the biggest threat, because in the age of this digital era now, misinformation becomes so impediment to a lot of things.
Yeah.
You see, someone just go out there just to have likes, or just to find a caveat of headline and then put it so something is now Tinubu is taxing so percentage of diesel, and then the thing will go viral. It went viral and everybody will like get to that page, it will drag attention, all of those things. So I think those are the to me, those are the major root causes to what we have today in terms of trust deficit gap, all of these things. Yeah.
And I'd really agree with you when you speak about misinformation.
Yeah.
Misinformation is a major, major challenge. When we carried out that same research, we realized that over 60% of Nigerians, I don't have the exact statistics here, but if I remember, is that over 60% of young Nigerians, they know about the tax law.
Yeah.
They know it exists.
Yeah.
They know that, there is a new tax law in town. But still,
the context,
they don't understand it. And like I said, 76.64% they don't understand it.
In fact, I think Nigerians should be giving kudos to the Presidential Tax Reform Committee.
Okay.
With all honesty. I'm not saying this because I'm part of the team.
Okay.
But myself, I'm actually happy because imagine those days where you're trying to do tax campaign, tax advocacy. Back then in school as a president, we read series of books to understand one concept. Different textbooks, and there's PIT Act, Personal Income Tax Act. There's a Company Income Tax Act. One encyclopedia. There's another. So this committee come and say, let's have a single document.
Source of truth.
Like once you lay your hand on this,
that's what's happening.
Another thing they now add again now is that they ensure that these things are not even right. You don't write it in the old language, like when lawyers are writing, you see, and their thoughts, we still like things that you be struggling to even interpret the text. So they write it in the normal language, a layman language that you yourself you can read
and understand.
And you can understand. So that alone is actually even taking away the ambiguity, from the law, and then you be trying to hire somebody to come and help you even interpret a line. That's another thing entirely that I think personally the committee deserve kudos for that. Those two things. It's big, but it might look small.
It is. It is because even this is the first time in Nigeria that taxation is at the center stage, and more people are understanding it as the day goes by because of the Nigerian Tax Act.
Yeah.
Because of the Nigerian Tax Act. If the Nigerian Tax Act didn't come out, taxation would have still been behind the scene, where it has always been all these years. But the Nigerian Tax Act has brought it to the front burner. Every day we see news, openings. The tax ecosystem keeps evolving. And people are following the story compared to before. So that's something that I feel like, like you said, the Presidential Tax Reform Committee has really brought light to, and bridging this misinformation gap is one of the major things that we're here to do at Tax TV. And this is one of the challenges to this trust deficit that we're experiencing. Now, to the final question. Out of all these points that you made mention of, right, which one do you think is the easiest route to bridging this trust deficit gap? And what should be done? What can we do as a country? First of all, what can the government do to bridge that gap? Secondly, what can we do as individuals, if you permit me to say, as young people, to make sure that we bridge this gap?
Yeah. So, okay, let me put it this way. In the Establishment Act of NRS.
Okay, yeah. One of the laws.
Yeah. So it makes it mandatory for the NRS to actually carry out a sustained campaign, not just a one-off.
Okay.
A sustained. That means it's now mandatory for the Nigerian Revenue Authority to advocate, to lecture, to enlighten the public about what tax and how tax, all of those technicality, right? And then the law also now established what to call the Office of Tax Ombuds.
Okay.
So the Office of Tax Ombuds is now supposed to be like a shield for young taxpayer like me and you that don't have any knowledge about what your rights, what you're entitled to look like, isn't it? And when you feel like, oh, these people are already they are over taxing me, so you run to them, and then they are doing all their service for you free of charge.
Yes.
In fact, with what's it called, stipulated period of 14 days for them to resolve your cases. Yes. So then, as against you, getting consultant or a legal counsel, I'll say, okay, please help me to do this and that, and then go to tax tribunal. So those people can actually do that with a normal mediation, and then
settle the issues.
So that is on the part of government, right?
Okay.
Yeah, on the part of citizens, I think I would just advise.
Okay, before you move to the part of citizens, I really want to probe into the part of governments. Yeah. So you made mention that the NRS Establishment Act states that the NRS should carry out a continuous, what did you call it again? A continuous campaign.
Yeah.
Explaining sensitization. For the new tax act. But did the Establishment Act also establish a frequency and establish what really is that campaign? Because why I'm actually asking this is, how frequent really is the campaign of the NRS, and what impact is it making? And I'm saying this 6 months post the adoption or the implementation of the new tax act. How frequent is it?
How will I put it? Let me put it this way: like compared to the old law, right, there's no mandatory clause.
Okay.
So some of the campaign they've been doing and the sensation they've been doing online, another other person, they're doing it out of their own will, right?
Okay.
But now there's a
Okay,
clause.
there's a clause.
So which
So-
make
so-
it mandatory for them to do. And then, so how often it is, and with all honesty, like from the former FRS down to the NRS, there are lots to consume.
Okay.
There are lots. Go to their page everywhere. From the institution to the ICANN, the CITN, there are a lot to consume. There's series of webinar free. There's Tax and You on the CITN YouTube page. I think it's almost, isn't it once in a month or thereabout. There's series of webinar that always do, I think, 1 or twice in a month in the NRS too. So there are a lot they are doing, with all honesty.
Okay.
Because it's just
And
like...
you think it's sufficient?
Yeah, yes, it may not be, because there are other ways now that the committee actually tested during the implementation
Okay,
period.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, and then, so those are the areas there where we think the NRS will also find a way to adopt.
Okay.
So in terms of campaign, so there's this part we say, take it to them.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's this part of say, take it to them. You see, in the implementation period of the Presidential Reform Committee, they actually selected some content creator, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
And then they train them.
Yeah.
Give them content.
That was last year.
Yes.
Last year ending, yeah.
Is it last year or this year?
No, I think it was last year ending.
Okay.
I think it was last year ending.
Okay. So aside the content creator too, they also do more of like competitions, like more of like a real competition for students. Come up,
okay.
talk about tax reform, blah blah blah, and then we have, so all of those things, still trying to go into the algorithm of what the youth, the environment they operate in.
Yeah.
As against traditional TV approach like this or webinar. So they go onto that level. Okay, when you are trying to win something online, you have to drag your friend to help you like and all of those things. So
creates a buzz.
Yeah. To create that, but so that is the approach where the implementation teams of the tax reform committee are actually looking to say, look, let's move away, let's drift away a little from what we have been what we are used to, and then move to what so take it to them in their own way, and then you also factor the thinking around TikTok, Instagram, So I think those are deliberate approach that the NRS should be taking on more and more now, and then see a way we can have more people within the tax.
And all this is thanks to the new tax act.
Yeah.
Thanks to the new tax act. All right. So moving on, you were dovetailing into what Nigerians can do.
Yes. You see, they said if you are informed, you will not be deformed, right?
Yeah.
So to stay informed means to stay ahead.
Yeah.
So and then so they said there's this concept that if you don't know, you ask. So sometimes when you ask, it doesn't stop at the ask only. So you ask the right person. Yeah. So many people don't know, and then they feel like there's no crime in not knowing. However, there's no ignorance before the law. Yeah. I'm not aware I'm supposed to pay tax. That's not, law does not really.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. So it doesn't exist in that law. So it means you have to be aware about what your civil responsibility is, right? And then when you are not asking, ensure you ask the right person. So large number of youth or a taxpayer run by headlines. Yes. 1%, 1% has been increased in clinical online, and then you see plenty of people with so this is they will not even pay attention to what is the details.
Yeah.
But just that headline only. That's what I'm saying, that misinformation is the big threat currently now. So if you heard any news or something, there's a breaking news out there, and then say X, Y, and Z, I think the best thing you should do is you should go to the NRS portal, check their circular, check their publication. If it's not there, go to the JBR, Joint Revenue Board, right? The JRB, check their portal, check their publication, check their policy guideline, everything. If it's not there, go to the Fiscal Reform Commission page. They have their own page too, right?
Yeah.
Check. So at least you have gone and through all of those, and then you ask the person on the comment, where do you get this your message from? Where is your content coming from? What is the source? Somebody will be putting out something there, no source. And then the Nigerian will consume it blindly.
And it goes far.
Exactly.
Just like last year when the whole bank comments
Yeah.
in the bank when you're on your transfer.
Yeah, even tax ID.
Yes.
Yeah, the case of tax ID.
ID.
Yeah,
You know.
a lot of misinformation out there. A lot.
So it's the responsibility of Nigerians to therefore, educate themselves, inform themselves, have access to the right information.
It's there. It's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there, and they've been calling you all this. Join this webinar. You will not be. You are not interested until your account is now free. I say, I saw something. And you know the way algorithm of this technology work now these days is this. I see this stuff is studying you. When there's a pressure in your life, you just see a pop-up.
Yeah.
Read about account freezing, ID or tax. And then you have the same similar cases, right? And then that's the only thing you're not going to read, right?
Yeah.
So that system, it's a lot that I think the Nigerian government and policymakers need to be deliberate about. Trust me, in China now, I think to become an influencer, you have to be licensed. Yes, so there are certain, they just believe that if you're an influencer, right, and you have thousands of followers, what is your own level of education?
Yeah.
You can't give what you don't have.
Sure.
Yeah, you can't give what you don't have. But now they are accidental influencer, different thing, right?
If promoting their own ideologies.
Do you get? And then they have followers following them blindly. And those people now be causing different havoc out there, it's crazy.
It just looks like the government needs to create their own influencers.
Yeah, so I think government creating their own influencer will not work in the way too, because the moment you just say it's government influencer, it's going to be so indirectly. Okay, let me put another case for you. When the presidential committee actually call top influencers, say, "Come, let's come." And someone still do a video online that me, I will not go because
I know. I saw it
I
now.
don't want them to feel like I'm supporting government. I don't understand. I don't really get this part. So you see all of this coming, and I say, like, what are you really working for? Are you working for the angel or the devil? If your goal is to pass information, go there, listen to their own story, use what you have or you have accumulated so far in the way, use to challenge them there. Right? Take that feedback and come to your page, and then that is the way I think it should work. Not the other way around of saying I will not go, I will not do this. I don't understand. We are all Nigerian. You're working for Nigeria. That's your interest. Yeah. So except there are other interests I don't know.
Or you have a passport somewhere that we're not aware of.
Exactly. Because the way many people paint Nigeria, right? I see we have second country somewhere. That way, by the time this country is done, we just move. So it's not always easy that way. Ask questions. There's nothing wrong in criticizing government. In fact, it's one of the best things to do, because you actually want them to improve.
Of course.
Do you get? So, but when you're not making this criticism, ensure you have the verifiable information.
Right information.
Right? And then, there's a certain question you ask. The person will you have no option than to say, I'm sorry. I didn't look at it this way. Right? But you don't have information. It's just noise. If you see somebody on the street protesting and asking, what are you protesting for? I don't know. I just see people going. I just follow them. Like head mentality, right? Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
So basically, all we are saying today is, Nigerians, you have the responsibility to inform yourself. And right here on Tax TV, we take our time to demystify all the complexities that surround taxation. So if you're on Tax TV, you're on the right page. If you're on Tax Gauge, you're at the best place. So we've been having a very beautiful conversation here with Opeyemi, who is a former member of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Reforms and Tax Reform. And we've heard it right here today. You have the responsibility to educate yourself. If you feel that there is a trust gap between yourself and the government has their own role to play, but you too have your role to play. Educate yourself. Hear the right information. Consume the right information. Don't ride on the vibes of social media. Be informed and criticize the government based on the right information. I know you're enjoying the conversation right here, right now, but we have to draw the curtain. But we'll be right back. This is not the end. Opeyemi is still here, and we are going to have more conversations into the Japa insights. I know he just mentioned about having another country. I know some of you do. We'll be right back here to have a conversation to understand the economic impact of the Japa syndrome. My name is Halarain. This is Tax Gauge. We'll draw the curtain here, but make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit our website www.taxtv.ng and be tax informed. Bye for now.